What's good, YouTube? I'm sure I made it on here just in time to talk to myself this morning. Check, check. But good morning, myself. Good morning, anybody who happens to stumble upon this video. It's a Friday morning. Good day to you if it's not morning. I hope it's been a good morning for you. And I hope it's an even better afternoon, evening, wherever you're at. I hope you take a second to appreciate yourself and take a couple deep breaths for yourself. You earned it. Nobody can tell you didn't earn it. And you deserve it. So take a couple deep breaths. Enjoy it. Enjoy whatever you're doing right now. I need to take my own advice and let any outside stressor go. Anything you can't control. If work has got you stressing, if there's something out of your control that you're caught in and you're doing your best, keep it up. You're more than enough. You're worthy. All right, so Fiat payday today. Going to get some of my bills paid. And then we'll see how much we've got left over for groceries and investments. No more sneakers for me. I'd get a couple $100 left over and I'd go shopping on the Nike app. No more. Now I got to decide whether I should buy a couple $100 worth of Bitcoin, a couple shares of AMD, Airbnb. I've been looking at some dividend plays. Some of your oil companies have nice dividends. So Phillips 66, which is petrol and chemicals, which I like the chemicals part because that's another piece of the pie that Ukraine is kind of withholding and Russia's withholding at this time is the chemicals and the fertilizers they get from the petrols and it pays a nice dividend. So Phillips 66 is what I've been looking at. Zim has been beaten up. This is a really good dividend stock. They'll pay out, the last dividend they just paid out was $17 per share. So I've been looking at Zim, but transportation has been beat down. Your riders, your transportation stocks have been beat down, and I think it's been the same reason for the recent oil slipping is investors, and I think big investments are worried. Maybe it's just casual investments, but I think the worry of demand destruction amid all of this FUD is, will travel be hot this summer? In my view, it's going to be red hot. I think a lot of Americans with inflation are still living well above their means, and the most recent consumer credit report showed consumers still willing to spend right now. And I think money will go towards plane tickets, money will go towards cruises, money will go towards these consumer items and tourism. That tells me if we continue to hear talk like we've heard about Russia, oil embargoes, we just had a coal embargo. Our US House just passed a oil trade ban. So there is more room for the price of crude, WTI crude, Brent crude, and natural gas to continue to accelerate up. And we'll see. We're gonna be we're a couple months into this war, into this conflict, into the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So we will see. I know the initial timelines I was targeting were some of the original dates where we were possibly looking towards ceasefires of May. Um, as we're looking at today, the big release are we're getting new deposits and food inventory releases. Um, in their record low, we had the farmer report we had last week showed record levels of record low levels of corn and wheat harvesting or planting, excuse me. So food prices will continue to accelerate to the upside, but we're getting more data on it today. What's interesting is on TD Ameritrade, and I'm sure on others, you can't buy futures contracts of wheat, corn, and starting today or Monday oil, CL. So ZM corn is ZC maybe. ZC, corn is ZC, and oil is CL. And they are restricted to sell only. Now, who's going to sell them knowing, maybe if nobody can buy them, but that's the thing, nobody really knew until I saw somebody try to buy wheat futures yesterday, and TD Ameritrade restricted it. So there's an issue with the trading of futures commodity prices for wheat, corn, and oil. And this isn't a bad thing. This is a form of price suppression, which if you're a market maker and you're not sure where the data is going to come out, where the data for Russian oil withdrawn off the market's going to come out, how you're unsure how these SPR special reserve releases are going to affect the market, and you're protecting yourself as a broker, you're protecting your traders, it makes sense. You're not you're gonna take less participation, less risk in a potentially volatile market, and that makes sense. So, but if you own an oil contract, knowing what we know, maybe there will come a time where the data changes and it starts selling off. I think that's some of the selling off we've seen in there, though. So it's tough to say. But we did have the crude oil futures were down just a little bit this morning. And popping back up. So interesting. What was interesting is the levels this morning were almost identical on all the futures to the levels we had yesterday. So natural gas was still very high, and this has been where crude oil, Brent, BZ, CL have tapered off. natural gas has been in G futures contracts have been on a steady incline. So and they're popping up even higher here. So natural gas is one to keep an eye out for. And then like if you're watching natural gas, UNG was a heater yesterday. United States natural gas was hot. Don't chase this. This is not a good trade right now. We'll see. Sitting here kind of on a double top from the end of the year. See what the price of natural gas does. I need to chase that. OXY was a hot trade yesterday and finished at a good level. Now, I think we could see a fairly light day today. It's a Friday. A lot of global news going on. It has the potential to be a very light day, but nonetheless, like let's say, when we started talking on this show about turning from big tech in the SPY at 460 to oil here on this, and I even tweeted out this evening that this was a decent dip to buy into for oil here. And then yesterday may just sweat a little bit, still, you were still safe. And then yesterday may just sweat a little bit with the dip, but hopefully we were able to buy in right there, buy a couple more shares and get you a 2% winner. Today is long-term investment day, and AMD is looking very, very appetizing to me. I think all the chip makers, in my opinion, have been suppressed a little more than Apple, Tesla, Microsoft. Like you saw Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. You saw the big tech names go back to push at least push all-time highs, and you didn't see that same type of run up with the chip makers. Like, I mean, Qualcomm's going to eventually push $180 as a stock. So buying it at 140 makes sense to me. Again, none of this is investment advice if you're seeing this, but I've spent some time, and I would suggest if you do trade the NASDAQ, if you do trade the SPY, get a watch list that you have semiconductor chip makers on. Because these are big names, these are big players. These move the NASDAQ. So learn a little bit about what Qualcomm does. Learn a little bit about what NVIDIA does, Intel, Micron, NXPI. So I've been watching these since 2017, and they've done an incredible run since 2017. NVDA has gone over 1,000% since 2017, and I think behind like a Tesla, NVIDIA has been one of the better trades you could have in the last 5 years. Now, NVIDIA had really strong growth during those 5 years. And I see part of the reason why the chip makers are beat down, and it's not necessarily a fault of their own. And you see companies like Intel, like TSM, investing in the the manufacturing capability to expand their operations so that they can make more billions of dollars just by simply producing more. Um, we will see how those investments pay off. I think, you know, pre-pandemic shutdown restriction, we seem to be fine. So it seems to be this some of the sensation of the demand return that we had post COVID, that all of a sudden kind of strapped some of these chip makers for production capacity, which is not their problem, which is, you know, same as we're seeing with your automakers. It's not a terrible problem to have, the fact that every chip or car you make this year has a buyer already. That's not a terrible problem to have. That just means you're running at a nice capacity. Now, the reason I like AMD is the Xilinx merger. So you just completed a merger acquisition with a company that does $1 billion in revenue themselves. Now I take it back. I said that the AMD Xilinx merger was to the tune of like 15 billion earlier this week. It's to the tune of 70 billion. Largest merger acquisition ever. So yes, AMD paid a large majority of that with shares. So, you know, maybe that's affecting the stock price somehow. Maybe that's why some of the analysts downgraded it. To me, I just see the revenue increasing over time. And especially as supercomputers technology continues to increase, Xilinx has a supercomputer chip combined with AMD's kind of core fundamentals of the chip, and they're in business to be a real innovator in the space. And I just see the revenues and balance sheets growing for AMD, where if Nvidia right now is making 6-7 billion, I think that stays. AMD making 4 billion, jumps up to the Nvidia levels of 5-6-7 billion, and eventually surpassing it once they continue to take market share from Intel for cloud server software services. And I've been watching this space, and I just see the most potential for AMD right now for the next 5 years. Not that any of these others are bad. Micron just had great earnings. Solid forecast too. Looks like they're paying a dividend as well. Marvell pays a dividend as well. So, that's enticing. AMD, I hope AMD will one day soon offer a dividend. For right now, we've just got AMD stock buyback program, which is okay. I think that can obviously help bring down the dilution and, you know, take some shares out of the market. And we'll see. So let's see. I'm gonna stick around this morning, this Friday. It's Friday. I got no smoothie this morning, so I may have to invest in some fruit. Cut me an apple or something. And we'll get to some meditation and some breath work here, but take a second to tune in with yourself. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? I said, what's going on? Let's zoom out on AMD here. Um, let's zoom out. Let's just put it. Let's put it on a on a bigger view here. Let's take a good look at AMD. Let's because I was also looking at Airbnb, and Airbnb is great, but at the current price and evaluation of Airbnb, their growth is a little baked in. So you don't have the same opportunity that you had with a Tesla, where it was an early IPO in its early business stages and was undervalued to its future value. You've got Airbnb, which is already very highly valued, very accounted for its current value. Now, can it continue to grow? Absolutely. I think even here in Charleston, more and more people putting their homes, putting their condos up for Airbnb rentals. But is that going to lead to billions or millions of dollars in growth? Maybe they can add billions to their revenue and growth, but I don't know. I know AMD just added at least $1 billion to its revenue. Xilinx was over $1 billion in revenue per quarter. $4 billion a year or so. So that, I know that just got added to AMD's earnings, of the most recent earnings of $4.83 billion, which one of the reasons I'm bullish here is we're going to be approaching another earnings here pretty soon. I think it's on the 27th. So what if that earnings comes out right here, and now the EPS, because they spend a lot of money, might be just okay, but to me it's gonna be a $6 billion earnings. And we saw after this earnings it shot up to 130. I think it's $150 stock. But now what's gonna happen when right here we get a $6 billion dollars? Is it going to go to 125 where it was just at? Is it going to... And now see, so it's been... I think it's been exactly a month. Since I've been making the attempt to come explain my trading thought processes every morning. And this is great because we're another Fiat payday today. We started this show with, I believe, a Fiat payday and a long-term investment on AMD below 100. We've got AMD approaching these levels with more capital to purchase. We're just going to get some more shares of AMD. I'm going to go take a shit and pay my bills, and put a couple $100 to the side for groceries, and we're gonna see what we've got to invest today. So it's about 5 after 8, 6-7 minutes after 8 o'clock. So we'll go for a little longer, just because it's Friday. Beautiful day out there. Love, peace, chicken grease. Sorry, I don't know, some reason forgot the damn password for my Dominion Energy on my phone. And then I know I got it saved on my work computer, so might as well open up this work computer anyway. Go for another cup of Joe, huh? Why not? First cup got me hyped. I gotta go through the morning emails anyway, so alright, there we go. So that's good. But anyways, yeah, let's see if we've got Dominion Energy password saved on here. See, that's what I didn't see was I was just entering it by my email, but it anybody else's now. This one ain't terrible for me, but for some reason, I guess it's just heat. But my December, January, February energy bill was ridiculous. It was it was it is at least $50 higher than this current bill was. I mean, all three of those months was like $200, and now this March bill is $145. I mean, I guess it makes sense with the extra heat, but I don't know. It just seems high. And then like the first couple months, you know, the summer months, it was, you know, looks like it was at the 125, 130 level. So I don't know. Let's just pay it and be done with it. Let's pay it and be done with it. I'll tell you what, though. Just as a human being, if you can shit, breathe, put good food in your body, put good nutrients inside you, and detoxify the system with exercise, you're winning. You're winning. You're living. And that's all you can do. If you're breathing, shitting, pissing, eating.
Trussell, and this is the Duncan Trussell family.
Sorry, my phone randomly turned on a podcast. I don't know why. Does anybody else like take a picture when they give you these little? I guess it didn't give me any confirmation number or anything. Oh, get some power. But it'll be fine. I did take a little small play on this natural gas here. AREC. It was just fairly dead. Natural gas company. Zim is up almost 2% in the pre-market here. So transports must be up this morning. But it's also up with a bunch of stuff. Tesla just trying to flip green pre-market here. So a bunch of stuff flipping green pre-market. I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to wait to buy some dips. We'll see. Let me finish making these payments so I know what I've got to invest. And what I do is, just get a paycheck, make you a little sticky note. And make a little budget, right? Make you a little budget for the next couple weeks. I don't know. Just for me, I'm just could be more math literate, so I just need to write down just to make sure I don't fuck up some numbers and overspend and not have enough money to go to Costco, but be all right. So, just start at the top with what you got. Deduct $145 from the utility. We got to go pay the water bill. See what that water bill is. Usually water ain't terrible. Hola. Got in. We made it in on the second password attempt. And let's get the water paid, which looks expensive. Why is water bill so expensive? It's like $20 more expensive than last month. I guess February is a short month. I don't know. But alright, so let's just round that up and deduct it. Okay. Alright. Check a checkbox. And good. Okay. So I can't even deduct simple numbers on a piece of paper. So I resort to calculator. I know this machine doesn't make mistakes. So, and on average seems to compute math equations a little faster than my human brain can compute a math equation. So I used the calculator. So I've got my number. After electricity and water, and I know I've got another paycheck in a couple weeks. That'll take care of my rent. So this middle of the month paycheck is really my best time to try and allocate some fiat into some stocks or Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is the only real crypto I invest in these days. I used to be into mana and sand, which were like the tokens of a computer game, I guess, or a digital land. It's I don't know. Bitcoin to me is just the best idea. It's the easiest to comprehend in my brain. I think that gives it's got the first mover advantage. It checks all the boxes of being in my opinion, I haven't found any flaws in it yet. So, in my opinion, it's a perfect monetary idea. But it's TBD. But I don't know. OXY and XOM kind of pushing up a little bit in the pre-market here. We're gonna get the bank off of here. XOM was on a heater yesterday, guys. XOM flew up yesterday, and it's got size on the bid here. So it's trading. I mean, this move from $82 yesterday to $85. It's a great move. It's a great move. I was saying around here to get in, and so again, it held that bottom. So it's good. I think XOM has a nice dividend. All right. Okay. So I think I'm even being a little bit relatively safe with my numbers here, because no reason to overdo it, right? Like if you've got a stable income, if you've got your expenses covered, even if it's just $20 now, and you have that. You have the ability to view this through a long-term time frame. And you understand, you know, it's a little bit easier to thank you. If anybody ever sees this, thank you for watching. Thank you for being you. And God bless. Because none of this is possible without miracles. And believe in miracles. Because as much as I think that dark forces do occupy this realm, and bad things do happen, miracles and good things are way more powerful. You make it worth it for a moment of joy, of grace, of mercy. The moment of mercy where the pain is eased. Becomes worth the pain. The moment of mercy, the moment the pain is eased and the miracle is realized and the joy, the relief comes, is the moment all the pain and suffering leaves, disappears. And so how could we take this view of a joyous, a relieved, a whole new outlook and apply it every day to our lives? And if you have to, twice a day for your lives. As I'll even find myself in different mood from morning to evening. And it changes fast, right? It changes if one tiny little thing can happen sometimes. You can get cut off by a driver in traffic. You can get a bad or difficult phone call at work, and all of a sudden you're driving home from lunch, like the view just isn't as pretty as the view when I was driving to lunch or when I was driving to work this morning. And there's so much that can factor into that, right? Like the music you're listening to, the how you slept the night before, what you've ate, and sometimes you just gotta keep finding that. You gotta keep making that for yourself. You gotta keep recreating those circumstances that put that good song on in the car, and it helps your outlook. It actually changes the frequencies and molecules of your body. And if it's sometimes it could be just a rainy day, and it could be a rainy day. You could be tired, and I don't know. Get you a little caffeine. Get you a little workout in. But sometimes you gotta just figure out and do something, right? And sometimes you just have to keep repeating this self-talk of, well, you don't, because you can just pray. You can, as much bad shit as you can imagine, you can imagine just as much good shit. So just go put your feet in the dirt. Just go feel something. Go do some push-ups. Go feel something. Go anything. So I hope it's been a good video today, and I'm going to continue doing this, even if it's just for 30 minutes a day. Even if I come on late, I'll do my very best to make a production every day happen. And we'll see what happens over the years, because this is unprecedented time that you're living in right now. For our generation now, have some of these same plays been played by the elites and the market makers and the governments before? Seems similar to maybe some historical kind of times and stuff, but like really kind of brings you back to some of the war times, and then some of the rise and falls of economies around those times. That that's not that I have understanding of what those environments were like and what those economies were like and what investing at that time was like, but I imagine it's a little different now. But some of the same factors remain true. So water. And I gotta call a lead real quick. we'll see what happens. I hadn't seen a whole lot of news. We can check. So looks like the futures dropped back down a little bit. I bet that, if natural gas dropped, I'm gonna guess crude oil also probably dropped a smidge. I mean, still up. It's still gonna be approaching a percentage up. It's not a bad level. It's just not. Bank of America states a recession shock is coming. Oh, go cry, banks. You're just mad the banks are doing shitty right now and big tech is rocketing. People are still gonna buy them damn iPhones. They might not buy them. They might not buy as much iPhones, and but people are still gonna get the latest iPhone. I mean, that's. And you still got the Bitcoin conference going on. So, and I was wishing that the Bitcoin move would have been a little stronger. But, it is what it is. And honestly, I'm still pretty bullish on Bitcoin. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if post Bitcoin conference that we hadn't seen strength, that maybe it's just a test. Maybe they're just testing to see who's going to invest at these levels. And honestly, I like it at this price. And I'm actually interested in it as an investment at this price. So we'll see. We're gonna watch the bonds today, as always. We're gonna watch 5 and 10-year yields and see what happens. Looked like they kind of normalized a little bit yesterday, so this is good. Tesla back to red pre-market. I just don't know. AMD is really the only one that I know is at a decent level. Like the last time I tried to go do some Tesla thinking it's going to go to 1,300 to 1,500, it tanks. So, and I don't know, it's just not looking like it wants to be super strong. But, maybe something happens today where I can get it a look maybe above 160. I don't know. I'm probably staying away from Tesla and Apple. Apple would be fine. It's just I don't think you're gonna get a 2% positive day on Apple. Like you may get, Bitcoin. Maybe we'll get a Bitcoin intraday run up to where BKKT, Hive, Hut could get a start to get some size on the bid. But Coinbase is down at that's low. So these have all dropped back to they're fairly low levels here, which makes me think maybe they're going to be ready for another leg up soon. I don't know. It still looks like they could come down some, especially if Bitcoin kind of flops after this conference. These could come back down and maybe a little bit. I don't know that I'm gonna go putting my money in Coinbase right now. Because I think Coinbase's growth could be a little tied as well as the value just intrinsically being tied to Bitcoin and crypto. Um, Amazon and Google would be a couple places you could look because I think they're just a little less crowded of trades. But again, I just think your upside is probably a little capped on those. Square is a possibility. I've been talking about Square. I like their business. So we had this a real. I think this was just way undervalued, under $100, and that's why we're up here. I mean, maybe we get below 120. Square seems to be holding the 125 level decently. But and oil's holding, so it's kind of disappointing yesterday where we had an oil rip in the big names, ConocoPhillips, Chevron, Exxon, Oxy, even the UNGs, the natural gas companies, some of the bigger names got a real rally, and we just never saw the small cap oil names get that same type of bump. It's kind of disappointing yesterday, and I should have just been playing the big cap names like I've been talking about for the last couple months, but I'm still thinking there's some lotto plays to be had here, but we'll see. We will see. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, TSM, states its March revenue rose 33% on year. So TSM. So watch for all the chip makers on this. Could possibly go. So TSM is reporting their March revenue was 33% up on the year. So they're reporting a really good March revenue. They're just reporting that they had a good March. And TSM is at $100 here. Damn. TSM is good. TSM could be the long-term ad here. I like AMD, but AMD gets some of their components from TSM. TSM supplies a lot of the other chip makers with some of their core components. Oh, boy. I like TSM. Just because it and AMD are at similar levels here. So AMD has free float 1.61 billion. TSM has 5.1 billion free float. So TSM has a lot of shares out there, but it's a big company. TSM's next earnings are 413 to 418. So TSM also pays a dividend of $1.87. That's good. TSM's earnings are expected on 414, so it's next week. Chip makers could really go, guys. I I just think chip makers, for their importance, if the economy is gonna have any level of sustained volume for the auto manufacturers, for the computer industries, for the cell phone industries, TSM is gonna have sustained volume. AMD, they're the demand destruction that I think the market has been trying to price in with holding these chip makers back a little bit is, I just think they're being undervalued. And to get a report that TSM has just had a 33% increase on their March sales numbers, and they got earnings next week, and they're at $100, when TSM was probably a $200 stock at one point. Okay, so 150. Yeah. Interesting that it just hasn't, because if you look, you compare that 5 year to AMD's 5 year, it just hasn't, it looks like it just kind of got to this and just didn't really get that next leg, that next level up. And this is, God, AMD has had some volume here, guys. These two, man, these two, I think. I don't know. I mean, we just might have to see where the market's going to go today. I don't know that I'm going to try to chase anything in the pre-market here. We're just going to have to kind of see what we can catch. And I mean, if things just rip up and take off to the north side from me, and I'm looking for a potential bit of a sell off, I could just look to get into a bears if it drops and then pops, or obviously if it's tech popping and dropping, I could look to bears, but I want to just at least maybe buy a couple shares of AMD, a couple shares of TSM. Don't know which one. Nvidia is honestly at a good level too. I've switched my view on Nvidia a little bit, but TSMC sales soar to record on demand for smartphones and cars. I mean, record Q1 revenue. So they're telling you that their earnings report's going to be record, and so they're telling you that their earnings are going to be records. They pay a divvy. They just made 15 billion. After 14 billion, and so I mean they're gonna make 16 billion at least, guys. Um, just look at the volume here too. Is this just boomers that have had this stock for 5 years giving up on it? Is this? I don't think companies like a Goldman Sachs, like a Morgan Stanley, like a BlackRock are going to be doubting the importance of TSM uh, to our tech, and I mean, so you got to go back to 2020 for these levels on TSM. You got to go back to November of 2020 for these levels on TSM. The 100 mark is good. I mean, when is AMD's earnings? Obviously, if one goes, I think they all are gonna be okay. Um, I think AMD's earnings are the 24th, so let's see, when did this dip? Because so this ex dividend. And so that's probably the reason we got some drop. You had some dividend players get out. I mean, it's been in heavy accumulation the past couple days. Look like pretty solid green candles. Um, I don't know, guys. I mean, chips could just be a little beat down. These two right here. I mean, look at them back to back for a reason. This will be the debate today. AMD obviously gets a little more volume, gets a little more action. I don't know. Maybe I buy one share of both. Couple $100. I guess to think about it. So U.S. 2-year yield is 2.5, 10-year yield 2.7, 30-year yield 2.716. So fairly flat yield curve. Obviously, it's not inverted again. But so you have a few more people buying, some of the shorter terms. So we're looking to the bonds today. We're seeing if people have any confidence in American debt. Um, as you see, the dollar, a pretty popular kind of flight to safety right now. The dollar is obviously just safe to hold. It's you know what you can do with the dollar. You're Bitcoin close to 43. Sheesh. I mean, the question's been AMD or TSM. And honestly, I think I'm probably just going to keep it small. I may just buy one share of one of them. But I don't know. I haven't bought TSM in a while. I'm just going to put on my watch list, I'm going to put TSM right next to AMD. Huh. Okay, there we go. Yeah, well, let's just put them up. Let's put them up on the same time frames. Obviously, these charts are going to look similar. They are going to move within, somewhat sympathy of each other, being in the same industry. So TSM did kind of come up there and kind of popped and dropped a little bit. So it looks like it's catching buyers, but we'll just have to see. Just so, which one of these charts you like? I don't know. The oil chart still looks good, but okay. So this is our bad news for crypto and Bitcoin. It seems is that the EU targets crypto wallets in its latest round of Russia sanctions. The European Union on Friday targeted crypto wallets, banks, currencies, and trusts in its fifth package of sanctions on Russia in a bid to close potential loopholes which could allow Russian money to move abroad. So, this technically is impossible with Bitcoin, because in theory you could have and should have a digital hardware wallet. Now, even if you had the physical BTC but your address and your wallet or your accounts at the exchanges sites are froze or not allowed to trade, then you're not going to be able to exchange that BTC for any fiat, which is okay, as long as if you're a millionaire, you're not strapped for cash. You can have, you know, and you've already purchased Bitcoin or made your move to secure your wealth. Then at this point, you're just waiting it out anyway until you get some relief, and you obviously, if that's the stupid thing is, this doesn't affect. It affects the sanctions on these millionaires, billionaires in countries affects your local economy more than it does a billionaire Russian oligarch in his ability to live a day-to-day life. They got more money than people make in their entire lifetimes in their freaking shoeboxes. Petty cash. They got more petty cash in their cars than a lot of people have made in 10 years combined. So the fact that this I get worked up about it. I gotta take a breath. I gotta woosah. Take me a woosah. Woosah of water. We gonna see what happens today. Whole show by myself. I was working if I could work from home and trade stocks every day, that would be pretty cool. It's not like yeah, TSM could go to 105 today. That'd be a 5% day. Yes, that could happen, but then it's also, I mean, their earnings are next week, so maybe this is maybe it's just, I don't know. I might look at some options on TSM too. I might look at some options this morning on TSM. Either, probably not next Friday. That's probably too short of term for me. But this is TSM. That's AMD. All right, so this week, but Interesting. So these options actually expire on Thursday. So we want to go for the 22nd if we're going to go for anything. And want to look at calls. And I don't know why it's not showing me more of these. Yeah, show me a shit ton of them. Alright, it looks like I just need my computer to kind of catch up with the information. So, I said 105. Is that something I should look at? It's not even giving me all the information, so I think it's just slow. I think it is slow. We're just gonna get off of that then. Alright, I will let you know what I buy and when I buy it today. I'm gonna be making a long-term investment, but I'll just have to let you know. Peace out. God bless. I'm gonna get in the zone here, and some of this is just moves a little slow, adds a little distraction. I'm gonna be looking for headlines today, looking for some dip buys. Okay, so the futures dropping here before open. So that's obviously the futures and just tech and Apple and Tesla and some of these things in general are to the downside. Then I can probably wait a day on TSM and AMD. I could probably wait till Monday. And these look like they're kind of holding. So I expect these to hold again. Trading is limited on these, so I expect these to remain level at a minimum. This computer is just moving. It's just slow as shit. But oil's up, NASDAQ futures dropping, S&P futures dropping, gold holding steady. That's to be expected. Gold's manipulated. Euro USD was propped up. So some of the money could could rotate back into bonds today. Look for that. The Japanese yen is going up. Interesting just looking at some of the dollar currencies and seeing where they are. But anyways, it's going to get an Adobe message pop up. Never mind. Sorry. All right, so it's all right. It's all right. We're going to be good. Today could, obviously, is, and will going to show us a little bit. Peace out.